incredible series of events where people are really putting clean energy front and center. And it's an incredibly hopeful experience here, because what we're seeing is that there is technology that's being driven by the private sector that's really going to help transform the planet. The private sector is not waiting for government, and that's one of the things that Power Africa, as an initiative and a partnership to try to double access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa, aims to do, by really working with the private sector to help bring us along to make sure that we can achieve these very, very ambitious goals. Before we begin, I'd like to invite Adnan Amin from IRENA, from the International Renewable Energy Agency, to come up here, and we're going to enter into a partnership with IRENA. Power Africa has been developing a database of deals. We're looking at over 30,000 megawatts of real, actual deals all over the continent that we're tracking right now. And IRENA has its own database that Adnan will tell us a little bit about. And one of the things that we're doing, and what makes Power Africa works well, is that we're working closely with all of our partners to try to share information and make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction so that we can achieve these common goals. And I'd also like to invite Charlotte Petrogornitska from SIDA, which is one of the Power Africa partners, and Hans Olav Ibrek from the government of Norway, which as of 2 days is a formal partner of Power Africa as well. This is very much a de-Americanized initiative now, as we bring in all of these other partners, and we're all working together on this. So welcome, everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Andy, and let me say how delighted we are that we're going to formalize a partnership between IRENA and Power Africa. I think this is an extraordinary opportunity we have for the first time at a climate conference to look at an empowering agenda of change and decarbonization through investment and growth. That's what renewable energy represents for Africa. That's what we are all working on. We're delighted with the progress that Power Africa has made. Andy and his team have done an incredible job. He has support from the very highest levels, including people in the US who have some African connection. And we're now entering into an agreement that will enable us to utilize the tremendous data that Power Africa has gathered on deals happening in the renewable energy space, together with our sustainable energy marketplace, which intends to become a marketplace that develops a pipeline of bankable renewable energy projects that are based on the best information that we have available. We are at a moment of transformation for Africa, and the only way it can succeed is if we support African governments, and we do that as a team. So, Andy, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to working together with you.
Two specific observations. The first is, and I've attended about 3 or 4 of these now over the last 5 years, is that the level of energy at the local level from the state and local governments throughout the world is extraordinary. We're seeing action taken at the local level that is driving tremendous change toward a lower carbon economy. That's a new set of activities that has reached, I think, a level that is extraordinarily positive, and we all need to reflect and congratulate many of our local leaders for taking extraordinary action. The second area, more germane to this conversation, is the private sector. There is an extraordinary amount of activity going on, obviously in this building, but also around Paris right now. There are conferences, 6 of them at the same time in various hotels throughout the downtown area of Paris, all with private businesses making extraordinary commitments on behalf of lowering their carbon footprint, making corporate commitments to greening their supply chains and to investing into renewable energy. And that, I think, is an absolutely amazing and important part of what has happened here over the years. So I feel good at the moment. I feel very good at the moment about where we're going to end up, and I hope that the leadership here in the COP will give us an outcome that will build on the successes that are coming out of the local level as well as the business community. OPIC believes that we are in the midst of the most predictable economic transformation in human history. This transition to a low-carbon economy will be seismic, it is happening, and it's going to create more jobs and more wealth than any other transition has in human history because of how big the energy sector is. And nowhere, I think, is that transition more apparent, more important, and more impressive than in Africa. Why? Because today in Africa, 600 million people do not have access to power. So the opportunity to take people from no power to an electrified continent is extraordinary. And the work that Andy and his team at USAID, the work that CETA, the work that the governments of Norway, the governments of Sweden, and so many other partners have been doing, have proven in a very short period of time that collective action on behalf of a goal of electrifying a continent is not only a good idea, but is possible. OPIC has focused really on the two main goals of Power Africa. What are they? They are to drive new megawatts of energy generation, and they are to provide new connections, new access for people who previously did not have them. And in each of those areas, those are very different business models. Those are very different companies. Those are very different ways of providing power. On the first, we've been proud to support the largest ever concentrated solar project in South Africa, the Redstone project, with $300 million of loans. We've supported the largest wind farm in Africa, the Lake Turkana wind project in Kenya. And we've supported smaller grid-connected projects as well. I see Josef Abramowitz here from Gigawatt Global, who in 9 months constructed the first grid-connected solar facility outside of South Africa in Rwanda. It's a beautiful facility. I recommend you take your family there and visit for vacation. It's a gorgeous hilltop setting about an hour outside of the capital. Those are what we're doing to provide access into the grid-connected megawatt goal. On the access side, I think this is the most exciting part. How do you provide access to the 600 million Africans who do not currently have it? And in that area, we've got some exciting stories to tell as well. Just a month ago, or I guess 2 months ago now, at a forum that was called together by Secretary Kerry in Washington, I had the great pleasure and honor of signing a $15 million loan with a very innovative company called Lumos, Nova Lumos, in their work to provide first-time connectivity through solar home kits in Nigeria. Several months before that, we had made an $8 million investment into a company called PowerHive, which is providing mini-grid solutions in Kenya. And we have in our pipeline currently, in our project pipeline for financing, a suite of off-grid investments which include companies like PowerHive, Off Grid Electric, SunFunder, Solar Mosaic, D-Light, and Cross Boundary. So we believe that to accomplish the dual objectives of Power Africa, which is to provide large-scale megawatts grid-connected energy on one hand, and also first-time energy access, that we're well on our way. We also believe that those challenges will not be met without the private sector. And our mission here on this stage and continuing through the coming years of the Power Africa initiative is to catalyze, to incentivize, to attract innovative entrepreneurs, strong businesses, and committed business people to come together with us to provide the energy that Africa needs. And we're convinced that with the good work of these governments here and many of the clients and innovators and entrepreneurs in the audience today, we'll continue to do that. So thank you very much, and good luck to everyone here. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Manjira Mathai to come up as well. So we're going to go ahead and start this panel, and we are somewhat short on time. We want to make sure we have an opportunity for some questions and answers. These are all very accomplished experts and great partners that we have on the stage. Let me first just introduce quickly who's with us today. We're with Hans Olaf Ibrecht from the government of Norway in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who's been a key part of working with Power Africa really since the beginning, despite the fact that we only signed an MOU just a few days ago. We've been working together very closely. The way that Power Africa works is we work with anyone, and as we start to realize that there are a lot of areas of commonality, both at the corporate level or headquarters level and then in the field, we say, all right, you know what, maybe we should be more formal partners, and this is how it's been working with us. And then Charlotte Petrogornicka, the director of Swedish CETA, has been one of our greatest partners and advocates since the beginning with Power Africa, and the government of Sweden during the African Leaders Summit committed $1 billion to Power Africa as a partner. So we're very excited to have Charlotte here as well. Charlotte also is one of the leaders of this new initiative that we're launching under Power Africa called Women in African Power. And Charlotte can tell us a little bit more about that, and I can talk about that as well. And we are with Henning Wooster, who's the Director of Knowledge Policy and the Knowledge Policy and Finance Center at the International Renewable Energy Agency. And then we're really lucky to have with us Manjira Mathai, who many of you know already, and she's a director of the Partnership on Women's Entrepreneurship, W Power. And she really focuses on working at the grassroots level with women in the off-grid space. The topics that we want to cover, a few questions, and this will be a lively panel because it's not going to be just regurgitating back things that you've all heard about 600 million people not having access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa and statistics. We know that. We know what the problem is. We also know what the opportunities are. So we're going to be looking at tackling a few questions. One will be why renewable energy will help us reach our goals, especially in Africa. And I'm saying why, not how. When you say why, what that's implying is we know that it's going to be driving the development of the sector. The economics make sense now. This isn't a how of how can we make it work. We all are going to work together to make it work, but it's going to happen with us or without us because the costs keep going down. People want to be able to be in control of their own energy situation in their house by having rooftop solar, and the companies aren't waiting for us. Our role is to see how we can make this revolution happen even more quickly. So that's the why. And we're going to talk about the importance of gender inclusivity and energy practices as well. And then finally, how partnerships like the ones we're showcasing today will help us get to our goals. And I think that's one of the things that we've all learned as working together we can accomplish great things. So with that, I'd like to invite Hans Olaf just to give a few opening remarks.
Thank you, Andy. I think I'll just be seated there. First of all, it's a pleasure for us to be joining up and teaming up with Power Africa and my neighbor Sweden, and also with IRENA and all the other partners. So we really look forward to developing this partnership. Let me just start. I'm focusing a little bit more on the off-grid market and the market opportunities. Some years ago, IFC released a study saying that this is a $37 billion market. And I think that's really a market worth looking into, and several actors are doing so. Secondly, I would also like to say that I think it's important to know that we not reinvent the wheel, in the sense that there are really good experiences out there that we can build on. And here at COP21, I've heard success stories being mentioned more or less every hour. We have a country that I'm working with myself, Bhutan, nearly 100% coverage. Uruguay, mentioned yesterday, from 27 to 95%, just to take a few. The G20 countries' experiences. We have Ghana in Africa and Rwanda, that was also mentioned from John, and the great efforts and the leadership that has been provided in some of these countries. I think we need to build on them. Secondly, I think that it's quite clear that we have the technology, we have the emerging business models, but we are not at the scale required. And there's one point that I would like to highlight, and that is the need for capacity. We need to develop and train adequate staff in order to meet this challenge. I think that is a key fundamental issue, and I talked to a solar developer some years ago and asked him specifically what is the main challenge, and he said it was the lack of trained staff. So this is something that we urgently need to work on. And then the final point from my side would be that we need to work in partnership, and I think this demonstrates our partnership, that we need to work together to use the scarce and increasingly scarce public resources more efficiently to leverage and crowd in investments from other actors. Thank you.
Hold on to that for a moment. I'm going to break it up a little bit. I'm going to ask you a question, Hans Olaf. So let's talk about hydro for a moment, because Norway has tremendous expertise in the hydro market. What role do you think there is for hydro, whether it's mini hydro, run-of-river, or otherwise, to really bring baseload power to people in the continent?
In Africa, only 10% of the hydropower potential has been developed. So there's tremendous scope to develop hydropower as a baseload for many countries. We are supporting a project in Liberia together with the US, Mount Coffee, making sure that the plant there is rehabilitated so it will serve the people of Liberia. There's also tremendous scope to develop small-scale mini micro hydro. A key challenge we are faced with when it comes to developing hydropower is, of course, the increasing climate variability that needs to be factored into. But I think it's important that we change our policy vis-a-vis hydropower, because hydropower is a renewable energy source. In many area camps, hydropower is not labeled as a renewable energy source, but from our perspective as a country where we have 99% of our electricity is hydropower, for us, of course, we were fortunate and we struck water and we developed water, and I think many African countries could do the same.
Thank you, Hans-Olav. I'm going to turn to Henning now. And Henning, we're very excited about our new partnership with IRENA and the marketplace as well as the clean energy corridor. We've heard a little bit about hydro. Can you talk both about the marketplace and also the potential for other technologies? Because what we all learn and we agree on is that it's not no single technology that is the answer, but it's the broad mix of technologies working together. The sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, and it doesn't always rain. But working together, you can really have a broad mix and a reliable mix of energy sources.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really happy that we are able to work together on this. The reputation of Power Africa is one of being practical and getting things done, and that's exactly what we are aiming for with the marketplace. So it's really great to be able to work together on this. You mentioned the different renewable energy technologies. We've estimated the need or the potential for Africa to move into renewables. It's in our view significant. At the moment it's not fully exploited. We believe that by 2030 Africa can have 300 gigawatt renewable energy generation capacity installed, and that includes 100 gigawatts hydro, it includes 100 gigawatts wind, a little less than 100 gigawatts solar, and then modern biomass to add to the mix, so that we end up actually above 300 gigawatts capacity by 2030.
So I'm gonna interrupt you for a moment on that. 300 gigawatts, okay? 300 gigawatts is an extremely ambitious goal to achieve, and there's no question that Africa possesses the natural resources for 300 gigawatts of power. What is going to be the secret? Power Africa, we're 2 years into this, and we're tracking a little over 30 gigawatts of power. And we're doing renewable, and we're looking at other types of so what's going to be the secret to actually unleashing 300 gigawatts of power? And I know one of the secrets is having all this work together, but what's your secret?
I think that will be a longer answer, because there's no one small fix to get us there, but there are several factors, and one was already mentioned, that's getting the private sector engaged, getting private investors to bring in the capital that is required to scale up. Our estimate